They say you are what you eat, but who you eat with can be pretty important as well. When Sarah Smiley's husband was deployed overseas for a year, she was left with 3 sons and an empty seat at her dinner table. To fill the void, she chose to invite a new guest over each week who happened to bring dessert along. Dinner with the Smileys is a memoir that shares the valuable lessons her family learned from those 52 dinners. Sarah Smiley is also the author of a nationally syndicated newspaper column and a collection of essays. Sarah, welcome to Connecticut Style. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So before we get to the idea and get to the dinner, tell us a little bit about your husband.
My husband Dustin is a Navy pilot, and we've actually known each other. I've known my husband longer than I've known my dad because I grew up in the military. My dad was deployed when I was born, and our moms were friends, my husband's mom and my mom. And so I met my husband right after I was born, but I didn't meet my dad till I was 7 months old.
Wow, so you were destined to be together
Yes.
from the start, I guess, and you have 3 boys, 3 sons.
3 boys, Ford, Owen, and Lyndall.
And when was he deployed overseas, your husband?
He left in 2011, and it was the day before our oldest son's birthday, the week of Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's tough.
Yes, it was a lot going on right when he left.
So where did the idea come to have complete strangers come to your house and eat dinner with you on Sundays?
Well, I knew from Dustin's previous deployments, because he had deployed twice before, that dinner time is a really hard time to be alone. That's when, during the day you're taking the kids to school, you're working, you're doing errands, and then at night you sit down at the table and you see that empty seat, and that's when it becomes real to you that they're gone.
It's a little lonely, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure your boys all missed their father as well.
Yes.
So you had quite a variety of people. How did you get the invitations out, or how did it all come about?
The boys kind of came up with people that they wanted to invite. Initially, I thought we would start with neighbors, friends, but the boys they said, well, I want to invite the mayor, I want to invite the police chief, I want to invite a fireman. And then we ended up having a senator and baseball players, and those guests get a lot of attention. The boys got to meet the Red Sox, and we had a MLB pinch hitter. And they get a lot of attention, but what I like to tell people, because I hope people will read this and be inspired to invite someone to dinner, you don't have to invite a senator or an MLB player. Some of the most character-building, memorable, life-changing dinners happened around the table with people whose names you won't know until you read the book.
Sure.
They were just ordinary people in our community who were strangers. They came in, we shook their hand, and then they became like family. We
got to know
always
them,
hugged
right?
them on the way out, yes.
Great. In fact, let's put up some pictures and you can tell us who
Okay.
joined you for dinner at that point. Looks like you're making dinner or sauce at some point,
Yes,
your son?
this was, they were making a dessert, but the picture that immediately follows that one, and I don't know if you have it, is where my son Lyndall spilled it all over the floor. This is Senator Angus King from Maine. When he showed up with his French baguette, the boys were playing lightsabers in the front yard, and so he whipped out that French baguette and took part in a lightsaber duel with the boys.
That's great. And then there's the police chief
That's
you were
the
talking about.
chief, and Lyndall was a little nervous about the gun, but then he finally got up the courage to peek around behind him. And a lot of our guests would say that they felt uncomfortable sitting in Dustin's seat. That was the police chief sitting in Dustin's seat. They would come in and they would say, I don't feel right. I don't think I should sit in his seat. But my youngest son would say, well, that's the rules. You have to sit in his seat.
There's no compromising here.
And so they would. And then later our guests would say how profound that was for them, that they knew what military families go through. They knew that service members deploy overseas. But to actually sit in my husband's seat and realize that here they were with his family, and it would be another year until he could do the same thing, that it made it very real for them.
Yeah, sure. And did your sons always behave? I mean, they're young boys, 3 of them, right?
Yeah, no, they did not. In fact, it was like whack-a-mole. Every single dinner, someone misbehaved. The minister that came to dinner had to discipline the boys and tell them to quiet down. And when we had one guest, my youngest son mooned him at the dinner table.
Okay.
Yes, that was quite unexpected.
And at dinner 17, that was kind of the turning point for you.
That was life-changing. In fact, I feel like it changed my life and the boys' life. Our dinner guest ended up dying a week before the dinner, and by a chain of events, we ended up having dinner with an elderly man and his wife who has Alzheimer's. And what happened at that dinner just changed everything I thought about loneliness. Here for 16 dinners, I had been filling my husband's empty seat and teaching the community week by week what it means to be a military family.
Sure.
Dinner 17 happened, and I became aware that loneliness isn't military families alone, that there are a lot of people in our communities who are alone at dinner time, and they're widows or they're divorced or they're college students or empty nesters. And so after dinner 17, that was when I knew I would write the book, because I wanted to inspire people to, you don't have to have a perfect house. I'm a horrible cook. I made lasagna for almost every single dinner. And I did clean the boys' bathrooms, because that's
good.
just,
that's
mean to, yeah. But you don't have to be perfect. You just invite someone into your home, and everyone will be better off for it. And I hope people will get that message that if I can do it, anybody can do it.
All right. Well, your husband's back home.
Yes.
Do you still host the dinners?
We do, because it's kind of become part of the boys' culture now, that if we have an empty seat at the table, even if it's the 5 of us, they'll say, well, should we go ask so-and-so? You know, like they'll go get a neighbor and say, you want to come eat dinner with us? Because they view dinner now not as a time just to fill your body and talk to your parents, but it's an opportunity to connect with other people.
Absolutely. Sarah, where can we find your book?
It's available wherever books are sold, but I will be at RJ Julia for a really fantastic event where we're going to have dinner together.
And I'll be fitting.
Yes, and I will be there to sign books, and so there will be some available there too, signed copies.
Very good. The name of the book again is Dinner with the Smileys. Thanks for sharing your stories with us.
Thank you.
All right.